and Kamba, okay? So then also Senator Modama said Ukambani people should no longer now elect leaders based on political parties, but he quit Wiper, by the way, with the other chairman. So Wiper is not as strong. So he said elect leaders based on their character, the content of their character and what they can do, but not political parties. So I believe I can win in Machakos, backed by these youthful citizens who make up 70% of the voters in Machakos.
Governor Mutua, though you have famously, or as your opponents would have it, infamously supported President Kenyatta in a region that has traditionally been opposition, and in a region where Kalonzo Musyoka is still seen as the key leader or the key spokesperson of the region, what makes you believe that you can retain your seat given what your opponent's term is an unstoppable Wiper and NASA wave?
I don't think there's a wave to begin with. I think that's a misnomer. I am in the county. I have my own party, Maendeleo Chap Chap. The party is not in Jubilee. The party is not in NASA. It is an independent party. And according to the IBC, according to the members of people who are vying, we are the third largest party in this country right now, and it is barely 1 year old, which means that the party has a very high acceptance. We in Machakos County, we've got Wiper, but we are right, they are close to them. So Wiper does not have a wave. It has a wave maybe in Makueni or in Kitui, but not in Machakos. And this is basically because of the issue of a scorecard. 190 have seen what can happen and how their lives can change. And so when I go to the villages, when I see the old ladies, when I see the support of the young men, they can see that this is a man with an agenda that is not about himself, but about our people. For example, when I look at our unemployed youth, and I want to build, I want to build skills for them. That's why I'm proposing to have polytechnics, basically in every ward, so they can train. But further to that, it is important to educate our people, and our people at times do not have money to go to school. So from September, as with God willing, Governor of Machakos, we have a program so that every young person in Machakos County who wants to do a certificate, a diploma, a higher diploma, or a degree, or even a master's degree, my government will pay for them 100% so that they can be able to study and get their skill set, so they can be able to look for jobs and better. We also have a youth fund of 250 million shillings, so the ones who are not employed can actually tap into that money and be able to undertake, a lot of their work. So politically, there is the politics and there is the service. And 190 in Machakos, I can assure you, have seen the difference. I
will give you a follow-up question on the same pledge. You have said that come September you'll be paying 100% fees. Could you specify that? Are you talking about across every institution and regardless of the course being taken?
What we'll do is that we have looked at the number of students who are out there who would like to do certificates, diplomas, etc., and we've actually tabulated the cost. It's coming to about 380 to 400 million shillings a year, which to me 400 million a year, which to me is a worthy investment for our young people. And so we'll be paying across the board, but we'll have our limits. We are looking at about spending a maximum of 100,000 per year per student, looking at the semesters. When we average the highest fees in semesters, comes to about 70-80 from Machakos or University of Nairobi, and so about 160. When you add the figures that others are doing certificates, diplomas, they are lower, it averages to about 50,000 a semester. So it is something that I have actually tabulated, and it is possible to educate our young people.
And is that for students studying within the county or outside of it?
Students studying within the county, but not only within the students who hail from Machakos residents.
All right, Machakos residents wherever in the country.
Wherever in the country.
Pledge. Also given the fact that at least in 2013 you had a budget of about 2.3 billion and you were running a deficit of 1.7 billion. So it is questionable how, with such a massive deficit, given the existing projects, that you would be able to fund such.
We looked at it. The budget was not too. The budget was still 7 billion, about 7 billion, and biggest problem we've had is that our recurrent expenditure in terms of medical and also in terms of wages has been high. But I've been able to calculate, because this is a recurrent expenditure, it is separate from development budget. So we're not touching on the development budget. What we're doing is that we are actually investing in the future of our people. It is worthwhile, because in about 5 years' time, Machakos will be second to none in terms of comparison with other counties, because we'll get a lot of our people will be trained. And now that the judge threw out the fraudulent case, now we can start building the new city, and our people will be able to work. The other aspect is, to go back to the question about politics. I mean, I'm looking at our people in the villages. I've said 2020 we'll have water, we'll be able to do a lot of things. We have circles, we're doing all these things. But I'm also introducing a welfare system so that the very poor in our society can also be getting vouchers, so that they don't starve. They can go to the shops and get free unga, free milk, free mafuta for their children, so that we don't have to be fed anymore in this country.
And you're out of time. Muya, I will allow you a rejoinder for 1 minute, because you have talked from a background of education and of ideas that are better than the incumbents. Thanks. What would you do differently given the proposal?
All right. Thank you for that space. To begin with, I am a beneficiary of Maziwa Inyayo. I took that milk when I was a young boy in Matu Primary School. So, and I think that we can reintroduce that in Machakos. We have laid down, the strategy and realistically. So perhaps we can begin at 1 day per week. That also will also have knock-off effects in terms of, our dairy farmers in Machakos. They'll be the ones to sell the milk. Perhaps they'll get tenders and they get checks every month. So I can supply milk to this school, but treated milk, very nice processed milk to the students in primary schools. But at the tertiary level, I've said that we'll ensure that the 17,000 students who finish high school in Machakos and don't go anywhere, they wonder what happened to their life. We will have a small help kitty in Machakos that will boost them in terms of loans and grants, so that after 5 years we have a critical mass of middle class, 5-10 years middle class citizens in Machakos who are earning or are either working and who can buy land or own a car, marry an educated wife or get married. Machakos will be richer. That's the way to roll back poverty. Yes.
Marry an educated wife. All right.
And
what about educated husband? All right. Okay. We're going to wind up the debate on that note and now open it up to our audience for questions. Mariam Said, if you would please stand up. She has a question on unemployment. And if you could get the mic to her. And I'll just ask someone to help me here with the microphone. Mariam is a student here at the university. Good evening. Please speak up.
Good evening. My name is Mariam Said, in Machakos University. I have a question for you. In Machakos, we have many people who are educated, but they don't have jobs. What are you planning to do if you are elected to be the governor in Machakos 2017?
Thank you, Mariam. We'll start with you, Dr. Mutua, and then to you.
For me, we've got about over 250, close to 300,000 young people in Machakos County are unemployed. And that is the story everywhere in this country. What I'm trying to do is that when I say I'm building the new city, so we can get factories everywhere, when I'm bringing tourism into this economy by building stadiums, because I'll be building a stadium in every sub-county so as to grow talent. When we're expanding things like Machaud, when we're building new roads, when we build new roads, that brings up the local economy. I am installing 989 transformers across the country, because I don't want us to be a dark county anymore. We've been called the dark Africa. I want Machakos to be seen from space, God willing. So all these initiatives, when they are coupled together, they create a synergy, an economic base whereby people can now get employment. But even further than that, I've talked about the 250 million youth fund, which means that young people will be able to start their own businesses, employ 2 or 3 people, so those are 2-3 people out of the unemployment bracket.
I'll ask you a follow-up question on that, and I'll start with Machakos. How many jobs has it created? Machakos
has been able to help and assist many of the upcoming artists start their work. We just finished a film called Kidnapped. It is now showing in the movie theaters in Nairobi, and we need to build a movie theater here in Machakos, so people don't have to go to Nairobi to watch our own movies. And as a result of that movie, as a result of the music industry where we are recording young people for free, I can estimate close to 3,000-4,000 direct and indirect jobs have been created. And that is just a drop in the ocean. That is just a drop in the ocean. We are just starting off. That is why I'm requesting for another 5 years, so that now we can streamline and improve what we've started.
10 seconds. How many jobs have you created in the last 4.5 years?
When I look at my statistics according to my Ministry of Trade and Industry, we have created close to 65 to 70,000 jobs, directly and indirectly, through all the initiatives that we've been able to do. Per se, especially in agriculture, I bought 40 tractors, and now I'm going to add them, so there are about 70 tractors, 1 per location, and we've been plowing for free. And so we've expanded the area for plowing. We've been giving free seeds, free fertilizer, so we've gotten more people engaged into the agriculture sector, and now they are selling their goods. Now we're giving them dengu, we're giving them chicken, and we'll be buying from them because we've gotten markets in India, we've gotten markets in the Middle East, so that we can plow back money. So the agriculture sector has helped us. And I want to say, and I thank the Almighty, for the first time since independence, as a result of our initiatives in agriculture, Machakos was left out of the list for relief food.
And you're out of time. We had the same question to you.
Well, that's a good question from her. In fact, the more reason why I keep saying we need to have an African model of a welfare system. If I'm elected the next governor from Machakos, I'll be starting from a point of advantage in that if President Uhuru and Ruto wins, they will be, in the manifesto, they'll be giving 15,000 shillings to every graduate from our college all over Kenya, okay? So they can then support themselves to go to the industries and internalize what the job sector requires. Me at the county level, then, with my African model of a welfare system, I'll top up that. I can top up that with 5,000 for every of our students. So at least we have 20,000 to start from somewhere. But there's mahasla, the ones that don't have papers. We'll get them into circles, then we inject some money into their, trading groups, so that they can have something to, to improve from. The ones that do border, if they are 50, give them some money, so that the ones that ride others borders, they can own the borders.
So I'll follow up with a 1-minute opportunity for you to clarify. So you're saying you'd use your private resources to top up for students, and would you be specific on her question, which is about job creation?
It starts with the spirit to want to help, okay? You start with what you have in the kitty. Of course, everything has to be appropriated. Any appropriation has to be approved by the county assembly, okay? You suggest these ideas, and because these are their children, and they have a brother, sister, relative who is suffering also somewhere. Besides that, with another nice proposal, we have so many foundations across the globe that are willing to inject funds in such good, So you start with what you have, but then you go out there and look for more money. What is important is to get started.
All right.
Yes.
Stephen Kibe is the Secretary General of the local student body here at Machakos University, and has a question regarding bursaries. And I know, Stephen, you've heard the governor talk about paying fees entirely, so that must be happy news for you. Your question.
Good evening. Okay, I'm Stephen Kibe, the Secretary General of Machakos University. I stand here as Machakos University Fraternity. Now, what are your plans for you, if you're the next governor, for the needy student in Machakos University? we've got increasing number of needy students. As the Secretary General and my fellow student leaders, we've been having that problem, and we would like to hear from you on how you're going to deal with it. Thank you so much.
Okay, Governor Mutua, you've already talked about free fees.
We've got free fees, but it's not, but also we're increasing the bursary. We've got bursaries that are going to high school, but bursaries going to colleges. We are giving 2 million per ward. Now I'm increasing it to 5 million per ward. But even better than that, my program is also going to give 100 million shillings to institutions, especially to religious organizations, so that they can be able to take care of the needy of our society. May they be students, maybe the homeless, maybe be others, because I found that if a government is trying to take care of the people on the streets, that's not their core business. But if you fund the churches, then the churches and the mosques and even institutions of learning like these ones can be able to take care of their needy ones. Because what I'm looking at is how do you utilize the little resources for maximum effect without the monies being misdirected by government officials.
All right, I'll follow up with and you have 1 minute to respond again on the free university education that you've pledged. What criteria would you use to select those who are eligible for that free education? We have calculated it is not about who is eligible and who is not eligible. It is all about if you qualify to join an institution of higher learning that is recognized, then you qualify for that award. As simple as that. And how would the county process it, coming from a system where, of course, private funds are being used by students to pay this? How would you transition to a point where I am sure every student who comes from Machakos County will want to go to university for free? Which is okay. I mean, this is what happens in the United States. This is what happens in public schools. This is what happens in Australia. I mean, school fees are paid by the state. And so the way we'll transition is this. You bring in an admission letter. We don't give the money to the student. The money goes to the institution of higher learning. So the government, my government, will be paying the institution and getting reports whether that student is actually going to school. And they are not able to access that money. They cannot go and say, mimi sijisikii kwenda hii semester, nirudishie hiyo pesa, nitakuja next semester. Alafu uende wakajienjoy nayo. So we're only paying for the students who are able to go to school. Is this purely for new admissions beginning September? It is not only for new admission, it's also for continuing admissions, for people who are already in school and some of them who are struggling. It's like all new projects, it will have its teething problems. I'm realistic after serving, in the Kibaki government and also in this government. I know it will have some teething problems, but within 2 years, we'll have streamlined in such a way that you will not hear of a mother sitting at home crying because her son or her daughter is sitting at home with her and cannot go to school just because they are struggling and they are poor. Again, as a 1 minute clarification as we wind up, are you therefore telling universities in Machakos County that beginning September they should not charge any student for university admission? It will be free, paid for by the county government. No, we're not telling, and remember these are for residents of Machakos County. Like when you go to other countries, like in the US, I managed to study in the US, for example, and in Washington State, you have to be a resident of the Washington State to actually qualify for government bursaries. If you are from Idaho or from California, you do not qualify. These are for only our students. No, they will charge the fees to the students. The students will come to us, and we will now pay the institution the amount of money that we can pay, because we have a maximum of 50,000 per semester. We cannot pay some of the private schools may be very expensive, so we are targeting public institutions because it is still public money. Yeah, and I believe you had earlier said 100,000 per year for maximum per year. And that is where we wind up our Machakos gubernatorial debate this evening. My thanks to the two candidates who came this evening. I am told we're out of time, but if I may indulge with a 1 minute final comment, thank you, from each candidate. 1 minute, Huya.
Well, about funding the tertiary institution candidates, I would rather use a staggered method whereby 17,000 that graduate every year, I can say I lower by 20%, because that's about 80% that don't go to tertiary institution. I lower by 20% or 15% in the next 6 years. That means I'll ask for next term if I win. Okay, finishing, I want to finish by saying that I will call upon all my supporters and generally Machakos residents and Wananchi that we need to observe peace now in the run-up, during and after the elections, and also like to say to the IEBC that it's very important that, because the nation is in the mood of elections, that we have an election on 8th August this year. So they should, you know, brace all the onslaughts from either any political divide or the judiciary, and ensure that we have a free and fair, transparent elections come 8/8 this year. And I ask the youth in Machakos and the senior citizens also to remember me during that day. Thank you very much.
Governor Mutua, 1 minute.
I'd like to say I'm very grateful to the people of Machakos for giving me this opportunity to serve. If I wronged anybody, either by deeds that I did or things that I did not do, I ask for their forgiveness, because my heart has been committed to actually serving my people. And I humbly request them to give me another 5 years, so that at least I can continue with the work that I've been doing. It would be a tragedy as governor number 1 to let somebody else come back and drop Machakos to number 40, because then they'll spend 4 years learning the ropes. And this is because we really care about the people. And as a result, and because I have my party of Maendeleo Chap-Chap, I plan and I have said I will run for president in 2022, so that we can actually effect the change that is needed in this country together. Finally, I want to apologize to you that my competitors were scared to come for the debate. And I think if you want to be a governor, you want to be a leader, you need to be accountable. You need to show up for debates. You need to come and discuss about allegations about them and everything.
So for showing up for this debate, and I thank the audience for your somewhat kind demeanor this evening. Thanks to the university for hosting us, and of course to the residents of this incredible county. I am Anne Kiguta. Good night. Thank you.